All right. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Rocker Dog Podcast, the show that talks to musicians about their dogs. I'm your host, Tim Dill, and today my dog Charlie and I are absolutely thrilled to welcome Kathleen Edwards to the show. Kathleen just released her terrific new album produced by Jason Isbell called Billionaire in August, and her North American tour kicks off on September 14th in Albany, New York. And these are her sub-zero temperature walk-loving rocker dogs.
Today we're going to talk about Penny Lane, my Labradoodle. She's 12, and my golden retriever, Fred. He actually only has technically one name. His name is Fredwards because my last name is Edwards, and so he only really needs to be known as Fredwards.
I love that. How old is Fred?
Fred is best guess. He's about 10 or 11 years old. He's a rescue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is Penny as well? Penny a rescue?
Penny's 12. Yeah. Well, kind of. I actually got her from a cattle farm just on the other side of the Ontario, on the other side of the Ottawa River in Quebec, actually from an Anglophone cattle farmer who I think was breeding dogs. And they were all kennel certified. They're all Canadian kennel certified parents and vet checked and everything. But it was definitely a little bit of I paid money for her, but it was not a lot of money. And she came with a lot of problems that we sorted out.
Did you
Yeah.
get them both as puppies?
No, I skipped puppy land, which I honestly, I'm sure people will hate me saying this, but I actually really didn't I didn't miss it. Like I wish I'd known them as puppies because it'd be cute, but I'm actually not sad that I missed puppy time. They came as mostly adults. Penny was 9 months when I got her, and she had actually never been indoors. She slept in a barn every night. And so she actually was, I had to carry her inside the house for the first 2 weeks, and she was not house trained. So she was kind of a puppy, but she was physically not a little creature.
Yeah. You described Penny, you said you are an angel and a devil wrapped up in one shaggy package
Oh,
on
I
social
did.
media, on Instagram.
Okay.
So the question becomes, how is she an angel and how is she a devil?
I really wanted a dog for a long time. One of the things about touring and one of the things that led me to quit was kind of just a huge imbalance in my music life versus my home life. And so when I quit music about 12 years ago, I wanted a dog and I wanted to have a house with a garden. And so I did those two things very promptly. And Penny was up at 6 every morning, 6:30 every morning, and she's a high energy, high prey drive dog. She's a Labradoodle. And to quote the man who invented Labradoodles, I wish I never had. She was a very busy kind of neurotic dog. And really, like, probably walked a solid hour and a half every morning for the first year of her life, which was really good for me too, because I benefited greatly from the exercise and from the routine of getting up out of bed and just being outside. And in Canada, that was January, February, minus 25 degrees, like little freezies on your eyelashes. You come home and you're wearing, everything's covered except just the frost line along your eyes. Of course, the dogs never notice, right? You take them out in any weather. And that's one way to cure depression, I'll tell you right now.
Now, in looking through your social media and going down the line, I see a bunch of different dogs kind of come in and out. Now, was Red a very significant dog in your life?
Yeah, I got Red 2 months after I got Penny. So I got Penny in December of 2013. Originally, I wanted to get a dog through Golden Rescue, and I had reached out to them initially thinking like, well, like I love golden retrievers. I would love to get a golden. And they tried to pair me with a dog, and I went and met it, and it was not the right fit. And so I ended up finding Penny. And one day, about a month and a half after I got Penny, they called me out of the blue and said, "We have a dog for you." And I said, "Well, actually, I got a dog, so I'm afraid I'm not going to be eligible to take, I'm not looking to adopt another dog." And they said, "Well, would you be interested in fostering?" And I said, "Actually, I would be because I've kind of just had an open schedule. I wasn't sure what I was doing." And so they cleared me to be a foster. and asked me to go pick up this nameless dog about a 40-minute drive from where I was living. And I got to the address. It was on the Quebec side again, to a rural suburban home. And the story was that the person had moved away and left the dog. And so the neighbor had taken him in, but somehow managed to find Golden Rescue, and they were going to surrender the dog. It was probably their dog.
Right.
It looked like a pretty down and out situation. So I pull into the driveway. The woman who was surrendering the dog opened the front door, and out comes this older golden retriever, skin and bones, holding a stuffy like this big, and just like came right up and said hello. And I just opened the back seat of the back door seat, and he just jumped right in holding his stuffy, and that was it. He had no name, and he was just like this from day one. He was just an angel. And first 2 weeks, everyone was like, "You got a second dog?" I was like, "No, no, no, no. I can't afford another dog. I'm just fostering." And then about 2 weeks in, like it was like, I fucking can't. Are you kidding? This is my dog. And the one great thing that he did, I named him Red because he was a dark red golden retriever. He was probably about 8 or 9 years old when I got him. He was a senior for sure. One of the things that he did was he taught Penny how to dog. Like
Uh,
she was kind of a feral farm dog, and he was like, "You're going out? Okay, this is what you do, Penny. Like you sit down and you just chill out." Like he was just like he was an angel. He's like, "I'm gonna find a place over here. I'm gonna lay down and stay chill." And she just took his lead. So he was a very helpful icebreaker for her. And she obviously she was not well suited to being an only dog in the house. So
Now, was Red the inspiration behind Who Rescued Who?
he was. Yeah,
Okay.
he is buried. His ashes are buried underneath a catalpa tree at my parents' farm. And there's a little stone that I had made that we put out every spring that says a dog loved. And his little old collar goes around the rock, and we put it out in the spring under the catalpa tree. And yeah, it is.
That's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. We'll move beyond that into your dog's, I guess, their knack for mischief. And I've seen, again, when I go back to social media, I've seen, I don't know which one it is, with the squirrel in the mouth, with the dead groundhog. There was a shot of Red with a bandage around his head. So, do you have any go-to stories you could share that kind of revolve around the mischief that they might bring to your life?
Yeah, so my dog Penny is a Labradoodle, and let's just say prey drive has not been a problem for her. It's not going anywhere. It's super intact, even though she's 12. And there's the hierarchy of certain evils in the world. And I think groundhogs are at number one. Groundhogs are the most contemptuous creature in the world. Bunnies are truly like she'll never catch one, but she'll never give up thinking that she needs to take care of one. Squirrels, obviously, squirrels and chipmunks they're so fast that it would make her insane. And actually, Penny has epilepsy, and I've come to realize that a lot of times if she has a seizure, it's because the day before she spent it quite like consumed by hunting something, like watching 4 hours of chipmunks running back and forth from the tree. And she's like, "I want to get it." So I blame my dog's epilepsy on chipmunks. What else? She really will tell a bear to get the fuck off our property if a bear comes around. That's pretty
That's,
impressive. Like
yeah,
she's chased
that's
some bears up trees, which is terrifying when it's happening. But then you're like, she's got this figured out. She knows how to do it. But yeah, the groundhog is really the one thing. And my husband and I recently actually sold our home out in rural Quebec, but there was a fucking groundhog that would come, and it's probably a generational thing because she's killed a few of them, that they come and there's a hole under our house under the porch. And so, at some point the dog would be on high alert in the mornings, and you're like, uh-oh, the groundhog's back. And the groundhog would, sneak out at the early hours in the morning while we were sleeping. And then by the time we get up, she knows the groundhog has been here. And she'll wait all day and fucking sit by the hole, and it doesn't come out. And then, of course, one fateful day, the groundhog will take liberties and come out of its hole and be too far from the porch. And if she has a chance, she'll get it. And so I told my neighbor this, my neighbor in the country, I said, my dog has a real thing for groundhogs. And he goes, oh, does she? And this is a gentleman who's now in his early 80s who still tends his vegetable garden with great care. And he said, do you think that if I flushed out a groundhog with a hose that she could actually, and I was like, yeah, what time do you want me to come over? And he was like, well, I'm here now. We literally walked over to his place. He was like, okay, ran the hose. The hose went into the hole that this groundhog had made in his fucking vegetable garden. It was driving him crazy. And sure enough, the groundhog popped up and its little head popped up. And I was like, there he is. And he goes, yeah, I see him. And Penny was standing there like, and all she did was just go, oh,
Oh my God.
and grabbed it, took it away. But her favorite thing to do is, of course, to bury it. So I'm standing there, she does it, and I'm like, well, that's it. And he was like, that's it. I was like, yeah, that's it. And she like, little Labradoodle grabs her like 80-pound groundhog and starts hauling it away. And I turned to my neighbor and I said, all right, well, I'll send you my bill and we'll just include disposal of because she's gone and buried it somewhere. Like, that's it, done. And he's like, this is literally, he's like, you're the greatest neighbor I've ever had. I was like, thank you.
I think you have pictures of it. Is that when the dog had just a whole, like the head was all covered in mud?
That's usually the burial. The mud face is burial of some object. It could even just be a piece of rawhide. But the
Okay.
pictures of my dog on social media where she's smiling, where you can see her smiling, that's when she's got a groundhog. Last year on my birthday, we went to my husband's development and there's a huge, huge farm garden plot and groundhogs naturally just pop up there and have families there and stuff. And she caught one. We just showed up and there was one out in the field somewhere and she ended up sniffing him out and she brought it back to the car and I just knew like we weren't going to be able to go home unless I let her bring it. So she's like, "All right." She like jumped in the car, brought her groundhog home with her and yeah, I guess some people don't love that, but I mean, it's
Yeah,
okay.
I get it. I mean, I
I'm
love
sh
animals and I try to, try to cherish every living being. But I saw that post too when it's in the back seat. And again, it goes back to humor. It's just so funny.
I will text you the photo of two photos of her where you can tell she's never been happier with herself. Like she's just beaming like a human would on their fucking, on their like 18th birthday with a big cake and a fucking, oh, I guess in America you can't drink till you're 21, holding a beer. Like it was the greatest day of her life. She did her job.
I love it. I love it. Well, my next question, I was curious about dogs in your workplace, and that's both as a musician in studio and as a entrepreneur when you had the coffee shop quitters. Is that a must to have dogs around when you're quote unquote at work?
Well, dogs are technically not allowed to come into a coffee shop or a business that has food, which is ironic because assholes can without any problem. But dogs are not allowed. So I did cheat for the first year that Quitters was open. Red was there a bunch and Penny came sometimes until a few evil humans who don't like dogs called the bylaw. And then we had to get the dog another place to hang out. I mean, what are you gonna do? The law's the law. But yeah, I would bring Penny a lot to the patio sometimes as well in the summers. But it actually was one of the things that really helped her in the first couple of years of her life, like become less timid. Like she was quite nervous around strangers. She was nervous around children and loud noises. And so bringing her to Quitters actually was really good. It got her accustomed to realizing that people were really friendly and that, people were gentle. And I think she'd been, handled really harshly when she was a puppy. So
Yeah. As a studio
actually,
dog,
you
does
know
it
what?
ever
Studio dog,
don't want to have
I
to worry about
remember,
that aspect?
yeah, I'm too hard on myself as an owner to bring my dog to work. I'm like, are you having fun? Did you
Yeah.
need a walk? Do you have to go to
Yeah.
the bathroom? Like, I find it distracting.
Yeah.
You know what? I do have a better story though about like a dog coming to Quitters, which is that I named my ice cream trailer Reds after
Mhm.
my beautiful golden red. And for a few years, the ice cream trailer was a very, very joyful source of, children and families coming and like, you've never served or taken an order from the person who's at an ice cream trailer who's in a bad mood. Like they're coming to get ice cream. Everyone's in a
Yeah.
good mood. It was a really happy extension of our coffee shop in the back. And Red was in the last week of his life. I knew that it was time. Things were happening that required me to make a very loving decision, but it was terrible to have to make, but we all have had to make for our beloveds. I decided on Red's last day that I would take him to Red's Ice Cream. It was a beautiful early fall day, and I called a few acquaintances of mine who had kids and just said, "We're going to have free ice cream for the next hour. Red's going to come by the ice cream trailer," and he couldn't really move. He kind of laid down most of the time, but we gave him some ice cream, and the kids were all giving him a little bit of ice cream to lick, and they all gave him pets, and he was just happy to lay there. He loved people and he loved everyone. And so he just got completely smothered with love and had some ice cream, and then we put him in the car and took Red to his last little place in the grass, and we said goodbye to him. Which, if you asked me that 2 years ago, I couldn't make it through without telling that story,
Yeah.
but without crying. But it was like I like to tell people that story from stage when I introduce who rescued who, and then of course I like to always add like makes you feel kind of bad about the last day of your dog's life, doesn't it? Like you didn't do enough.
Yeah.
I had an ice cream trailer. I had an ice cream trailer and a bunch of children say goodbye to my dog.
Yeah. That's very
Yeah.
sweet. I've heard a number of stories of just, taking them to the beach and giving them, steaks and, doing this kind of bucket list for dogs. But to actually make it a community thing is very, very sweet. And it just kind of
Yeah.
goes to show, I'm sure, in the context of a coffee shop, he was part of the community.
Yeah.
And how are Penny and Fred doing in Florida? Are you Florida full time now? Or are you still a, what do you call it, winter bird? What do you call it?
I'm not a snowbird anymore.
Snowbird.
I am a full-time Floridian. Actually, I got my Florida driver's license today. It was very exciting. The dogs love Florida. Like one thing I will say about Florida, it's so dog friendly. Every single person on my street has a dog. They love dogs. I found people here to be incredibly open and friendly and communicative in public spaces about their dogs. People are very respectful about, making sure their dogs are on leash. If it's an area where there's some uncertainty about whether or not that's allowed, people don't let their dogs off leash unless they're really well trained. And people also give each other a bit of respect in like, I've spent time training my dog. He recalls. He's not going to run over and bother you. And he can chase a frisbee in this park and you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it. And I really appreciate that a lot. I find it, well, let's just say, I think people who have dogs have a great quality of life, particularly if they're committed to engaging in, the sort of being outdoors and walking your animal. There's just a quality of life that's good for everyone on that front.
Yeah.
And places that encourage people to have dogs and to be outside walking with them and give them the facilities and the resources to succeed at that means that humans are actually healthier too. And I'm all for it.
That's great. Well, I won't keep you much longer. I wrap up every show with what I call the Zoomies, and that's just 5 fast, frivolous questions. The first question is, do you let your dogs lick your face?
I credit my microbes being in great shape because I let my dog lick my face.
All right. All right. Good answer. Good answer. Question 2, do any of your dogs have a theme song?
I actually have a song that I sing to my dog that I must have written at some point that because I said it all the time. So my dog Penny has a song. Oh my God, should I just sing it? It's so
Heck
stupid.
yeah.
It's like a little kid song, but so her song is Penny is a dog, Penny is a dog, Penny is a dog, she's a really good dog. Penny is a dog, Penny is a dog. And she knows that's her song. Penny is a dog, she's a really good dog. Penny is a dog, and she's really cute. She's got a nice bum and a really nice snoot, and she likes to go. I don't know. And then we ad-libbed their little song. That's her song.
All right. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about Fred?
Oh God. Fred's is probably the fucking Charlie Brown theme song. Uh
It's
Fred
like the Benny
Fred's
Hill theme.
yeah, probably. He's Mr. Lazy Dog. I don't have a song for Fred.
Okay.
I only have a song for Penny.
All right. Well, you got to work on that. Poor Fred needs a song of his own. Question 3, I'll set this up. Have they ever been to a gig or been on tour for any length of time with you?
Yeah, a couple of them. They've been really fun. The most recent was I played in Ottawa, where I used to live, where I am all the time anyways. I played an outdoor festival called the Ottawa Jazz Fest, and I realized when I was leaving the house for sound check, I was like, I'm going to be gone for like 10 hours. I can't leave Fred here. And Penny wasn't there. I had her already staying at someone's house. So I brought him and I put him on leash at first backstage because you never know. Some people might be a little unaccustomed to just a dog at work. And then I realized like everyone who was working the gig was like, "Oh my God, can I hold your, can I sit with your dog?" So I basically just arrived, loaded my gear. We did sound check and I just let the dog off the leash. And every time I was like, I should go check and see where Fred is. It was like he was just sitting with one of the stage hands. He was just sitting backstage at a woman's whose job it was to monitor to like people's passes, or he was just sitting at, and then at one point I found him just sitting at the bottom of the stairs at my trailer, like our artist trailer.
That's
And I
amazing.
realized like I should have just started taking him on tour a long time ago. He just wants to be with people and he's happy just to lay down and wait. So he was great.
All right, that's amazing. Well, that sets up the question, if they were to tour with you, what would they want on their tour rider?
Penny would ask for a piece of rawhide that she can go and bury and then relocate 8 times. Fred would probably ask for a piece of New York strip. His beef is like if my husband has a steak, that just sends him into like he just cannot function until he whatever little piece of meat he gets at the end of the night. Like it sends him into a focus that I've never seen him do for anything else. So I would say like a New York strip for Fred and like a bag of rawhide for Penny. That's my
Okay.
two. Those are my
All
two.
right. All right, question four, you'll love this one. Do you have a dog voice?
Oh God. Yes, but I'm not going to do it. It's so annoying. And everyone knows it's annoying when you hear somebody doing the dog voice.
That's all we need to
It's
know.
just,
That's
yeah,
all we need to know.
of course I do. Everyone does. It's like, it's stupid and I shouldn't do it. But yes.
Okay. Well, the B side of that question I'll sometimes ask is, do you give them a dog voice? Do you channel what you think they would sound like humanized?
I've never given my dog Penny a voice, but Fred is usually, Fred's the classic golden. Like he's just like, oh, hi guys, what's going on? Peanut butter.
Yep.
That's his voice. Yeah.
All right. That fits.
Yeah.
That fits. All right. Question five. I always ask if there's a dog service or an organization you'd like to shout out.
Golden Rescue in Ontario is the one that I would shout out to. They do a really good vetting process. They set me up with two dogs that I have just loved so much and who have loved me in ways I could never even, I could never measure the way I feel about them. And they also were so generous with me because they had a very strict rule. You cannot adopt a dog that you're fostering until you've done a few because they need fosters and
Right.
that would just kill their fostering program. I've understood very clearly when I went and picked up Red in Gatineau in Quebec that I was not going to be able to adopt him. And so one day, a few weeks after, I wrote an email that said, "What are the chances you would let me break the rule?" And they did let me. They gave me an exception. So I have to tell them thank you because Red changed my life. He is the most wonderful dog, and Fred is the most wonderful dog too. And so I have to give them all the credit in the world. They've done a really good job of putting Goldens in great homes. And also, there's also people, it's very sad, but there are also people who probably very unfortunately have to surrender dogs for a million reasons
Yeah.
that are really hard, whether it's financial distress or divorce or allergies. I think surrendering your dog is probably, I can't imagine how hard it would be. And I think that they've done a really good job at, finding ways to make it less painful for people. So.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, well, thank you for
Yeah.
that. I'll get their information. I can put in links to the show description that goes up on your podcast provider. Well, before I let you go, I have to ask a question because when I poured through your Instagram account, very dogs focused, something jumped out at me a couple of times that I thought was very funny that I had to ask you, and that was you seem to get pulled over by the police a lot.
I do.
Yeah, I think there was at least three where you take a picture of your side mirror and there's a police car in the back.
Well, I have been known to speed a little, but only in school zones. Only in school zones. No, you know what? I think those must be old. Honestly, I haven't been pulled over in a long time. I try and be a very conscientious driver. I try not to speed. And I did just get my Florida driver's license
That's
today,
right.
so
That's right.
it's a
Hey,
whole new world.
all
Let's see what
right.
happens.
Perfect. Well, best of luck with that. Best of luck with the new album. What I've heard so far sounds great. And thank you so much for giving me all your time and taking me through these wonderful dogs of yours.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking me about my dog.
Carl, you're a damn good dog.